What's up, everybody? Welcome to Today I Work On, and today I'm going to work on installing a tile ready system on the above side, hooking up the plumbing on the above side. This is what people have been asking me the most on YouTube about. How do I install the tile ready system if I have no access from below? And honestly, there's a little bit of anxiety involved with it, but it's just measurements. You need to measure out your space, measure out your pipe, and you need your 2-inch waistline to be solid. You can't really move much. So I'm going to get into how I install these bases from above, not from below. So let me start getting into how I do it. All right, so yesterday I ripped out the plywood a little bit to see where the waste pipe was coming in from, and you can see it's coming in from the wall over there. My hole is going to be right here. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to drill a hole through this 2x10, I guess, and then we're just going to shoot it through and then pop the new waistline right here. I have plenty of room to do this, and I'm going to show you how to do it cleanly. Now, I did luck out because the way this house is set up, this rafter is going to hold a lot of the waste pipe for me. So I kind of lucked out. If the waste pipe was loose like this, where it has a lot of room and there's a lot of give on it, I would have to support it in a different way. So I'll get into that, but right now I'm gonna cut this plywood out, and then I'm gonna prep this plumbing so I could run it to this spot. So let me start working on that. All right, first step is on a tile ready base. We have this, see this hole? Well, it's not a hole. See this bump out on the base? This sticks out about 2 inches, okay? And then we have, like I said, 3/4 of an inch for the actual, if you can see this, where the PVC pipe goes in. But since this sticks down around 2 inches, that has to go into the subfloor. So my first order of business is cutting this out. So it's a 6x6 square, basically, I do. So I made the hole yesterday. Well, I circled the hole yesterday here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this 6 inches by 6. You could add a 1/2 inch, so like go 6.5 by 6.5. I'm gonna split the difference. We'll go 7. So I'll go 3.5, and then 3.5, 7, and then 3.5, and then 3.5 is 7. So that's gonna be my square. And I'm gonna take my circular saw. I'm just gonna cut it out. Alright, luckily, like I assumed, we have nothing in the way here, so I have great access. And now what I'm going to do is now this is where measuring comes into play, and you're going to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to start measuring out my spot where I have to put the waistline. Now, where you find that measurement is on the spec sheet. So the spec sheet will have exactly where your center is going to be, and I'm going to find that right now, and I'm going to start marking out where it needs to go. Alright, so I made the hole. I have the tile ready shower base. Now I'm going to drop it in and see how it fits. I'm going to look at two important aspects of fitting this tile ready bases. One, I want to make sure this hole here fits in under the plywood, and I want to see how square I am, so if I have to shim out anything, I could do that later on. So let's check it out. Alright, so I know, first step, I know that's sitting flat, and now I'm going to push it, and now it looks pretty square. That's pretty square against that back wall. It looks really good. This one stud's out, probably, wow. It's out quite a bit. It's out almost 3/8 of an inch. That's really crazy. I have to check out that stud. So I'll have to level off the stud, and then everything else looks good. So concerning the plumbing looks good where I cut the hole. So now I'm going to pick it back up, and then I'm going to look at my sketch, see what measurement's what, and then I'm going to bring the pipe to where the measurement's going to be. So let's start working on that. Alright, so what I did, I don't know if you could see this, but I went to the Tile Ready website, and then I put the description in on the base, and this is a 48 long by 42 wide with a single curb. and then you go to specifications. I'll take a picture for you and I'll put it up right now. So right now this base has, it's 19 inches is the center by 6 out. So that's, I know to center it now, it's 19 inches out by 6 inches out. So 19 inches from the left and then 6 inches from the back. And that gives me the center for the drain. And that's why they do that for the specification. And then it shows you actually right here, that little bottom piece that sticks out right here, it's 5.5 inches. So, you know, make it 6.5. You have a little bit of wiggle room, so it's not too tight. So the next step is I'm going to mark this out. And so I'm going to mark out 19 by 6 inches. So let's mark this out. So I usually mark it against the back wall over here. So I go here first. So it's 19. And you also have to see how the tile Redi fits. Because remember, not everything is square, right? So you got to like kind of feel out where the tile Redi base is going to fit. But this, fortunately, I'm sitting pretty square. So that's my 19 inches. And now I'm going to go out 6 inches. So it's right here. And if I recall, it's usually always 6 inches. So that's my mark. Now the next little step I make is I come to the tile Redi system and I know, so next step is I know this right here where my hand is sits flat on the plywood. And I give maybe like an eighth of an inch, you know, whatever, if for some sort of play. And now I measure this whole piece. So I have 2 inches, right? So you have 2 inches, and then the inside of the PVC is actually 3/4 of an inch. So 2 inches minus 3/4 equals, so it's 2 minus 3 1/4. That's 1 1/4 inch. So I know we'll say 1 1/4 inch, that's fine, because there's a little bit of play. In the ground, there should be no pipe. So now I know 1 1/4 inches from here. So it'll be like this. So it's about a 1/2 inch underneath this plywood. I don't know what this plywood is. This is 5/8 plywood. About 1/2 inch under this plywood, that's where the top of my pipe is going to end up. So I don't have any of my PVC pipe. I have to go get it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to the supply store, pick up my pipes, and then we're going to hook this all up. All right, so I didn't get into the plumbing aspect of me running the plumbing and the P-trap, but I cut the plumbing here. The old P-trap was here, and then I just had to drill a hole through this one rafter, and I did a long bend 90, and this is where I'm at. So you could see I'm basically on my lines. Boom, 19 inches here. Boom, 6 inches there. I did a test fit, so I'm gonna show you the test fit. Now, I'm not using soap like I've mentioned in comments, because after doing so many, there's a feel that I have. Now, I'm not gonna lie. This took me, for the first time ever, because it was kind of awkward, it took me 2 P-traps, because I was lazy and I don't know. But look, you see how it's off just a smidge, but if I push it in a little bit, it'll stick. It's a good connection. I have about a finger's worth of gap to move, and I know it'll fit because I'm still a little high. So you can see right here, I'm a little high. So once I put the glue on, it gets nice and loose and it'll connect. I'm not gonna lie, again, this is not the easiest way to do it. Going below the subfloor is way easier, but sometimes, you know, you can't rip out a ceiling. So that's where I'm at, and I'm gonna hook it up. So I have to cut some plywood, mix some mortar, and I'm gonna set this bad boy in. All right, so my plastic, my free garbage bags are down. So remember, you cannot use cement board, because it specifically says in the directions it'll mess everything up, because it'll take all the moisture away from the mortar and you will not get a good stick. So I got my garbage bag down because it was free, and I actually did buy S-type mortar just to see how it feels. Right off the bat, I don't like it because it's an 80-pound bag. I'm actually ripped in my van, so I have a mess. But the next step is I'm going to mix up this mortar, and then I'm going to plop it down. I did dry fit it. I don't know if you could see, like I put the soap in here, and it did fit. But again, this is not the easiest way to install. You need to be super precise. And the waste pipe needs a little bit of wiggle room. If you don't have a little bit of wiggle room, maybe like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, like left, right, up and down, it's a little bit harder to install the base. So I had to like mess around with a few things because the trap was hitting the rafter. So I had to notch it out, and I was having a tough time. But now it's like super smooth, and I'm ready to install the base. So let me start working on mixing the mortar. Wow, this whole situation is crazy. It's been fighting me. This base has been fighting me. This is the worst I've ever had to deal with the tile Redi system because of the way the rafters are run on this setup. So I had to put that strap on because I'm getting flex on the waistline. And also I went with type S mortar, and I got an 80-pound bag, and usually that's plenty. Like plenty, like with unmodified mortar. But for some reason, the type S, it's not as like, the volume is a little less than a 50-pound bag of unmodified regular mortar. And what happened was I was short on mortar. So I had to go back to Home Depot, grab a second bag. So if you're doing this tile Redi system with a type S mortar, buy 2 80-pound bags. I know it's crazy, but I did not have enough. And I was going to set this base, and it was too thin. You could see on here that I only had about a 1/2 inch of coverage on the backside. Now I have almost exactly what I need, which is about almost 2 inches on the back. So now I'm going to set this base, and it should go in pretty well. So let's go for it. Today's the next day. I just wanted to step on the tile Redi base to show you how solid it is. I'm gonna sum this up real fast. I had a big issue with this tile Redi base. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat all of this. I had a big problem because the rafters are running this way, and the rafter was hitting the trap. And see how big the trap is? It's about 8 inches. So I was having problems trying to set the tile Redi base because I really didn't have a good way to like hold on to the P-trap. So what was happening was the P-trap was going like this. There was a little bit of flex every time I went to install the tile Redi base, which caused a problem. So what I had to do is I put a metal strap underneath, and I actually screwed it onto the top of the plywood. It's not going to affect the mortar or anything. It was actually under the mortar after I put more mortar down. But you need to make sure when you put in this trap, and I got a little lazy because I thought there wasn't going to be that much flex, this P-trap is held underneath so it doesn't flex down. That was the biggest issue I had. Now, what happened was I also had to shim up the shower base a little bit, about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch, because I was getting a flex in the tile Redi base itself, because my plumbing was about 3/8 of an inch too high. So I pushed it down. I'm like, oh man, I got a crown going on. So I brought up the base a little bit around all 4 sides. It's nice and level. You can mess around with the level a little bit with the mortar, because if you put down the right amount of mortar, you will be fine, obviously. I mean, this thing it's a piece of concrete right now. Now let's talk about the Type S mortar. I wasn't crazy about using the Type S mortar. They come in 80-pound bags, so A, they're heavier. I still have to use 2 bags of mortar. It mixes way differently, and it's like a grainier, heavier, it's not as smooth as the unmodified mortar. So personally, I know TodayIWorkOn doesn't say it on the directions to use unmodified, but I will be using unmodified mortar. I'm never going to use Type S again. I don't like it, and I'm going to use unmodified. So take that advice for what it's worth. Yes, the Type S works really well, but you got to bring in 2 80-pound bags, man, and it adds up. And I probably have 3/8 of a bag left over, so now I have to throw that out. With a base like this size, this is a 42 by 48. It's not as big as a 60 by 48. I probably would have had the same situation. Two bags of 50-pound unmodified, 2 bags of 80-pound. So I was surprised that I needed almost 100 and something pounds of S-type mortar to put in a smaller base. That's where my mind was kind of blown. So you can see how I install these bases in my other videos. This was just kind of to show you how I do to install above subfloor. The next video I'm going to work on is over here. I'm going to install a bench. Now, I don't use the TodayIWorkOn bench. I think their system's kind of weird. You really don't need it if you get a standard. I'll get into that video next, but that's what I'm going to work on next. So look out for that video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you like these videos, please like them about the TodayIWorkOn. If you want to see more TodayIWorkOn videos like the one how I'm going to build the bench, please subscribe. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.